role in this project is that it happened that I was standing here with Marvin Maleja and Mr. Robertson in the moment in which they were talking about making this project. And we were announcing some ideas which were, well, we could make a kind of gray, black floor or something like that. And then Mr. Robertson said, well, if you are going to do that, I'm not playing the game. So you better do something different. So Marvin Maleja, the dean, pointed at me and said, well, you are going to design it then. And that's how this started.
Any architect knows that true life cycle cost is long-term gain, even though you might pay a little more than carpet or brick, exposed up front. And so this is a situation of introducing a very high-quality floor that will last for generations. I'm, convinced that there will be students coming through here 30 years, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, who will still see this floor and learn from this floor. And I know that because a facility that we renovated for the college just across the street has terrazzo floor installed before the First World War. Every summer we buff it up and it looks brand new.
Terrazzo has always been fascinating to me because I'm a public artist myself. I'm a designer as well as design educator, and I've always wanted to do projects with terrazzo because I love the texture of the flooring. So that's my primary interest and intrigue with this project, other than the fact that it's here at our college and it's beautiful.
My feeling is that it's really great, and you always have the kind of strange feelings in your project because you always design in a small scale. You don't know exactly what it's going to be when it's in the full scale. So, and especially with colors, there is a difference when you see the colors in the small pieces or do you see it in a big scale. So there is always a surprise, but in this case I think it's a very good surprise. Terrazzo is a wonderful material because the difference between other materials that I have used in my precedent experience is that it's a very flexible material because you can make a choice in whatever color do you want, whatever shape do you want, or whatever combination do you want to make. So it's very flexible and gives you full liberty to design. Knowing that this was done for a community in which we have many disciplines, and having my background, which is that I've been working with Le Corbusier for about 10 years now, and he was considered the more important architect of the 20th century, but he is also considered as one of the architects that really made what they call the synthesis of art, because he was painter, he was writer, he was architect, he was making a sculpture, he was making all kinds of arts with the same kind of principles. I made the translation of a book a long time ago, which is the first translation to Spanish of a book which is called The Poem of the Right Angle, in which he speaks about his principles about geometry. And then the second piece that I related to is that he defined a system of dimensions that are based on the human body using a system of proportions that gives a way of composing. In order to prove that this was a composition system that worked, he proposed to different people to make squares, to combine in different number of parts with those proportions and put them together. And all the time you could see that you had nice compositions. So I said, well, that's maybe a way of doing something that is going to be related to the different disciplines that we have in the college. It comes from an architect, it's a kind of architectonic design, but it's also related to patterns, which is something that in our school is very important in the school, in the discipline related more to the arts. And I can use the colors that Le Corbusier created for his building, because he defined, like he was a painter, he defined a kind of palette that he always was using for his different projects. So taking that way of combining things and taking the color that he was using, I started working on the project. First, there is a first lesson that I think that I take on that, is that I try to work very hard to make a good design, because I think that students, what they have to learn is that there is no small projects. A project can be great even if it's a very small thing. You don't need to build a castle to make a good design.
The College of Design has its roots in the late 1940s. It was founded in 1948 and was very much founded on the Bauhaus movement ideas of education, which is very much rooted in Europe of the 1920s and 30s. Certainly a part of that tradition is Le Corbusier. So putting in a floor which is inspired by the work of Le Corbusier is very much to the tradition and history of education in our college. And so what our designer, my associate Dean Hernan Marchant, has done is actually take advantage of modular as a system of design to bring to life something that is brand new, very fresh, and yet very much founded on principles that go back into the modern movement in design, which touches right at the essence, the heart of the College of Design.
It seems like a pretty extensive process, but it's definitely worthwhile to me. The end product seems like a very durable product.
It's really great that the floor can show a principle that all designers can relate to, like proportion and color. And I think the materials used on the floor really reflect the color really well. It's really bright and vivid, and it can be seen from across the street or around the street, and it brings a lot of color to this kind of dark, really brick area.
Well, honestly, in visiting David Allen, I would never have thought of applying it in a gallery situation, but it really works here. I'm very impressed.
Well, I do like the floor, in fact, and one thing I like about it is that it looks complicated, but it's actually a fairly simple design.
I like it. I think it's very timeless. I think it represents Hernan very well. I think it's a good reflection, and I think it'll definitely is a good reflection of the college, and it'll be a good piece for exhibitions and such for the future.
I am curious about how the process for making these floors has changed, because I've seen these same type of floors in older buildings and schools and post offices and that type of thing. And before, they were just kind of bland, tan, you know, you don't even notice them type of floors. But now they're beautiful with all these colors and glass particles and such. So I'm curious to know how the process has changed.
It's very inviting. It adds a lot of emphasis to the space, and I think it adds another element to the space. In that this is an exhibition space, to me the floor is almost on exhibition itself.